Hey everybody, we're here. We're ready.
It's
We're doing
Speedbump.
Shadowcrypt. This is the game we had looked up a little bit ago. What has it been? 2 weeks since we did the. It was back in before I left, I think.
It was in the old days.
Yeah.
In pre-2023.
Yeah. Come a long way. Yeah.
Wasn't it just last week? I've totally lost track of time.
What did we do last week? We did not do this last week.
No, you did a race and right, we bumped it and then you did the race next day. Got it.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's been a little bit disorganized. We did an Evo race. EVO. What a mess of a game, by the way. What the? Should have played the Japanese version probably. But I did finish it. But we did that.
I can
Monday.
beat it in under an hour. Did no one beat it in under an hour?
I beat it eventually. I was stuck as a bird. You can't believe that the bird is wrong. You upgrade to a bird, you lose all your stats, and then you're just the worst for the rest of the game. You're not allowed to unevolve to something anymore. They just removed that mechanic.
Yeah.
I've been looking for games like that I are actually well done because I like the concept. Spore isn't the answer, but there's some indie games that do try to do that. Anyway, I'm rambling about the wrong thing here. We got a world record by one of our speed bumpers. Eric's 33 is like a minute on the clock over the record, and I have a couple things to show you before we even do that. Let me roll over here, and I do intend to update the website. It's been a little bit. The website's a little complicated to update as far as websites go. This is. I just have to update like 5 things at once every time, and I have to reset the clock and mess with some widgets every time I do a new speed game. So this is a darkroom reference image. And it's just like, this is what you do if you don't have the lamp, which is a part of the run. So there's all these reference images.
A new part of the run, for what it's worth. The previous run got the lamp, and these pictures were taken in order to figure out a path through there without needing the lamp. And with some back and forth, some consistent strategies were found as well. So I believe Dude took the pictures.
It's not too bad. I mean, I was mentioning off camera there that, you know, in the randomizer for Link to the Past, we've got to have that whole game memorized, the dark rooms. I don't have Aghanim's Tower memorized. What a mess that is. But things like the labyrinth area of the Palace of Darkness are a pain in the ass, but do need to be memorized in the dark. You need to be able to do that. So that's what I'm seeing, is it doesn't look so bad in this game, knowing exactly what you're dealing with. You just have to deal with some enemies that probably need to be killed. You might have to go into Aghanim's Tower in the dark in the very, very rare occasion. That's why I don't have it memorized. It's just not a thing. Happens maybe 1 in 1,000 runs, but it could happen. So this is Shadowcrypt, any percent PB 1232.
Yeah, when this run, when the previous world record was originally being looked at, it was not obvious to the runners, at least from what I could tell, that the run was going to be very beatable. But once everyone kind of committed to, all right, so we're just not going to get the lamp, it seems like there was a lot of room to improve. So that's really great. That's a pretty good sword to get in the very second room.
Absolute bare minimum.
We have a little commentary from them. I'm playing their feed here. But yeah, this game has, what are they, random drops? I'm not 100% sure exactly about that.
My understanding was that the enemy drops are random. Like, you get the same enemies every time, but what they drop is random.
Yeah, I don't know what the spread is on that, but you're obviously going to want some good weaponry as soon as you can get it, and you're going to want to hold on to it. This game has a lot of mechanics that aren't immediately obvious. You can throw and block and grab ledges. That's very important, and you're looking for keys. And when we did a run of this game, I think everyone finished it, but it took a while. It took like 50 minutes for it to get done. Because
yeah, there's a little bit of variance.
They don't know exactly where to go in that race, but now they do. And so instead of being confusing and a little bit of a labyrinth, this is more of a go directly to the keys, get rid of the skeletons in the way. You do have to kill every enemy, so that's where the power is going to come in.
I mean, when we went over this game previously during the blind race, we talked a little bit about how This is kind of inspired by, or has a lot in common with Zelda 2. And I think that's a big part of it. You know, for a blind race, being able to internalize all of the little nuances of combat, it's pretty tough. If I remember correctly, Eric's in particular, you know, didn't really seem to grasp the value of crouching underneath attacks, and that was one of the things that cost him a lot of time. Obviously, he's made up all that time now, but you know, those are the sorts of things that it can be really hard to like look at 10 different mechanics all happening at once and figure out what combination of them is going to work for you in your first time playing the game.
Yeah, one of the things that drew me to this game right away was the combat looking Zelda 2 style. Like, you got some moves there. I think that's a pretty slick combat system. For it looks pretty clunky at first, but when you actually play Zelda 2 and you start getting the down stab and stuff, that I don't think you start with that, but you get that tech over the course of the game, and by the end of it, you have a lot of moves. And this starts you with it. You don't really have any problem like that. You just kind of go. I'm hearing.
Yeah, you don't unlock movement mechanics like that. But I mean, you know, you get different types of weapons at least. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, hard mode in this game, enemies just walk into you. Use the shield bash to push them away. Shield bash is a thing too that you can reflect bullets with that from the wizards. Interesting that we're not opening these chests, but I guess they don't have anything valuable in them.
Yeah, I don't know if they're random or if they're fixed. I mean, if they're fixed, then you certainly know whether or not you need them. And if they're random, you might just not need anything from their pool.
I'm looking forward to the dark rooms. If there's going to be time lost anywhere, that's the first place I'd check. I saw a lot of the Zelda 2 run. TGH was running that for a while. I mean, I'm sure lots of people do, but that's just the person I was watching. And they were pretty good at it. So this is in the dark, fighting some skeletons that still have to be killed. Still gotta get them all. And that seems pretty tough. In Link to the Past, the game I'm using is a reference for dark rooms. Enemies aren't really a thing. There's only one room I can think of where enemies are a thing. It's the Palace of Darkness, where there's 6 turtle fellas.
Right.
I sure don't know what their name is offhand in Zelda terms. It's probably like Crunkle or something.
Terrapin. They're terror pens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of them.
You gotta kill all 6 of them to open the door. So that's the kind of problem we have here, is in the dark, enemies that move, and you gotta find them and get rid of them. And
there's several of these rooms where it's just like you need to know how many enemies there are, how many walls. But it was kind of fascinating seeing some of the little notes that you know, Dude and Eric's were talking about, things like you know, there's one of the dark rooms has a moving platform in it, and knowing that if you just walk immediately on entering the room, you always land on that platform. It's just kind of like, those are the things that would really trip you up if you were going to tackle the challenge of trying to do this in the dark. You'd be like, oh, a moving platform, that's impossible for me to solve that. But like, once you really kind of sit down and you commit to, I'm going to move through this room in the dark, you find things like that.
Yeah.
This is a really common trope, I think, in speedrun routing, where you're trying to eke out a little bit of time. There's so many games where the answer is just do it in the dark. You know, you already mentioned games like Zelda 2, A Link to the Past has stuff like that. I mean, even really obscure games have this exact same mechanic. There's Secret Scout, which is one of those Color Dream games. I ran that game and wanted to improve the time in it, and decided, okay, I'm just going to have to do some of these rooms in the dark.
Rooms on this run.
The Turtle Rock part that is in the dark is the part with the huge room, and you ride the platform in the bottom area, and that requires some timed memorization, and you need to go immediately or the things will hit you.
They don't bother making any more dark rooms because they figure if you made it this far, obviously you have the lamp.
Yeah, that's one of the annoying things about older games, is that they always do that check. Mega Man's really bad with that. Like, right from the start, it's like tradition for them to have boss rush, and it's tradition for them to be like, hey, you're here in Wily's castle, do you have rush? Like, yes. So they're just doing like a menu check for no reason. Made it through the dark rooms. It's only been 5 minutes. Like, this run is so fast. When we do a thing like this and the speed run is already this fast, it feels like we're not even doing a show. Like, we just like we're just sitting down and watching a 10-minute video. It's awesome. This is such a good run. like it's just full health almost, and just having no trouble at all with these enemies compared to what I saw last time I watched this game get played live. And that wizard sure messed up on their positioning.
I wonder how many runs of this Eric's did before he got this run. Like, it's sometimes hard to tell because, I mean, once you kind of figure out some mechanics, it's not that bad sometimes, but like, is this run number 10 or run number 50 or run number 3?
I really like the speedrun clock with all the stats.
Yeah.
I don't always know what all of them mean, but I
sometimes it's just nice to see the numbers, yeah.
I think it's neat. When somebody takes the time to make their own images for their run, that's when I know I'm on the right channel. Just strap me in. The door is open. So we're looking for the necromancer fella, and he's just hiding back here behind a couple locked walls. So we're just gonna bounce around getting key to key, and then we get this orb, I think is the ultimate key. We don't have that yet, I don't think.
Yeah, we're still missing the thing that we need to get into the final boss's room.
Final boss is a teleporting wizard who makes fellas.
He's living my dream. I want to be a teleporting wizard who makes fellas.
You played Spelunky yet? I'm waiting for that Spelunky stream off the blues. You can grab those ledges.
At this point, it's almost like I need to not play it because you're going to lose your bit.
Yeah, I mean, Lamalana guy not playing the whip game. I don't believe it. I think you have a craving to play this game with the fella with the whip. It's a pretty mean game though. Watch out. I'm gonna be recording your mishaps and putting them on my Twitter feed.
Once finally the 2-minute 20 restriction is lifted, and you're just gonna post an hour of gameplay.
Spelunky day, at least. It's just one more death.
Smite subscribes to Twitter Blue just so he can post an hour-long video of my fails. This game is Shadowcrypt, a game on itch, made by one dev, and it's kind of vaguely Zelda 2 styled in terms of the combat system, but it's mostly just a dungeon crawl.
Mm-hmm. So we used to give out Speedbump prizes. It's been a while since we've done that, but one of the things I can do much more easily, much more affordably, and hook people up who do races with us is give them games. So I gave them this one. And speaking of which, in 2 weeks we will have a fresh indie game for you that's hot off the presses that we're gonna do as a speed game.
It's gonna be a good one.
If you're interested in speedrunning, it's an action game. I'm not gonna give away too much about it, but you'll have advance notice if you're interested. We can get you a key, and hopefully you'll race it with us and set some records, because you'll be on the front line of the record fight on that one.
Almost got sniped off the ledge.
The data that you bring in will be speedrunner data for everybody, because no one's gonna have it.
Exactly.
It's one of my favorite things to do, is find a game that no one's really gotten a chance to do. We choose obscure games sometimes to get a world record for that no one's done at all. But in this case, people will assuredly go after that game. So you'll just be ahead of the pack a little bit on that one. Those spears are really annoying.
Eric's just walking through them. Who cares?
Yeah,
don't need them.
They're perfectly timed to hassle you for going too fast. We got the orb. We have 2 minutes.
We have the orb.
Before this is over, kill that boss. Back through some darkness.
You need to let go of up when I'm exiting the door.
Yeah.
We just went through the door twice. That's what happened.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, it seems like such a small thing, but often when you're kind of like in the thick of running a game and learning it, it's not often that people actually make the resources that are necessary for people to get better at it. So little things like what Dude did, taking a screenshot of every single room that's usually dark so that it can be studied, is really like goes a huge way. That's a really great thing. Like if you're looking to invest some energy in helping a speedrun improve, little things like that, documenting stuff that can be useful and can be referred to, makes a huge difference, whether it's taking screenshots of rooms to be studied, or collecting frame data, or testing things and timing them. These are kind of the ways that lots of different people contribute to making a good speedrun.
There's some really talented people in the Discord who have brought us tools also that hack the game for us to give us access to that kind of data, like on Cast of the Seven Godsends, where we get, I would call it a trainer, that kind of thing, just like an EXE that messes up the game in ways that allow you to see how it works a little better and see what's in this area that you can manipulate. And then you can get some things done that you probably would have taken 100 years to find on your own.
Yeah, that's kind of the pinnacle. That's the gold standard. I mean, these days, usually they're referred to as like, practice ROMs, practice cards, practice tools. But, in the old days, they would have called them trainers. Everyone would have called you a cheater for having it.
I don't know why they were called that. That's just what I know of them as.
Yeah, I don't know where that name ever came from.
Maybe it really was for training. You can reflect the shots from these wizards, but since that's not being done, I imagine it doesn't do as much damage as this nice sword.
Tired of chasing him around the room, he just hucks a spear.
I imagine that this also... Okay, here's the boss. I imagine that the reflect doesn't
reasonably
land very well. They probably just teleport out of the way. This necromancer has like 200 health.
Yeah, it seems pretty situational, and ultimately the fact that Eric's has like a ranged weapon, it seems like at the end of the day you're better off just using that rather than trying to reflect something.
Currently hoping that the boss doesn't leave too far when he warps away, I think is the hope. Seems like he's being annoying about that. You can deflect this this giant orb away, or jump over it. It's a little tight to do that. That's it. That necromancer never thought that he'd get speared twice.
See, if I had been him, I would have just moved.
It's done. That's the run. Nice work.
That's Shadowcrypt any % arcade mode, I believe.
That's the time I'm happy with.
That's the time he's happy with.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Okay, we got it is just any % arcade. Yeah,
any % arcade.
And the former record 4 months ago was 15 well, in-game time was 13:33, so this is 12:32. And before that it's been years. So we definitely lit this board up. Some people are really happy to see their game come to life all of a sudden. Which,
hopefully this brings more to it. I mean, it can be daunting when new strats are brought to a speed game, but maybe the original runner will come back and commit themselves to learning the dark rooms.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Just I don't know where the lamp is, but it can be huge sometimes to just be able to do that. It really depends. I'm so used to thinking in terms of Link to the Past and the shuffler, and it like the worst case scenario is like the lamp is it's logically they never make you go through dark rooms logically. They don't expect that of the player, so you know it's somewhere. Like you should be able to get it, and you shouldn't have to do all this crap. But if it's somewhere is like at the bottom of Turtle Rock, right before the dark room, and you have to do all this stuff and then leave and go all the way back to the other dungeon instead of just doing the dungeon, you're saving like 20 minutes of race time by not doing that and just treating the lamp as an optional thing instead of a mandatory thing. So in that case, huge amounts of time. And then it's probably a similar thing here, but in this case, it's probably just a couple minutes of out of the way. I bet it's like a key situation. Like
I mean, it's a trade-off too, because a lot of times in those dark rooms, you're just crouching and stabbing, waiting for an enemy to walk into it. So you're obviously losing a little bit of time, but not having to go way out of your way to pick up those items obviously is going to make a huge difference. And I bet in the end, being able to skip the lamp means that any keys that would have been spent on the way there can be conserved later as well. I mean, this is the calculus that goes into routing any speed game. Is it's tough, but it's rewarding.
Well, I think we're gonna have a mystery race next week. This game's
already got signups, so if you are interested, make sure you sign up.
That's right. I did make that, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got the game for you. It's gonna be fun. I think this game here is probably wrapped up. I mean, we might see some progress on it. I'm gonna make a post about it on speedbump.run. We have a mystery race next week, so you can sign up on the Discord for that, and that goes for anyone who wants to host a race too. At this point, the bot is ready to go. Just hop in and make an event. You can do anything you want. But we're hosting a mystery race next week, and we'll also reveal the game that we're doing on the 28th. That'll be February's game, and if you'd like a copy of it at that point to actually speedrun, preferably you're gonna speedrun it. I don't want to just hand out copies. We're looking for speedrunners, people who are gonna play it and try and make some time on it, and want to race it with us at least. So that's what we'll be doing on the 28th, and we'll tell you about that next week so that you have time to practice if you want. We'd like to see that. Usually when we do a new race, we go in blind and everyone does their best, but in this case we're going to give you time to practice so that everyone can at least clear it and give a shot at the world record. It's a fun game. I like it. See how that goes. Thanks for joining me,
For sure.
Blues.
No problem. Later.
Sorry for eating up all the airtime. I didn't let you get any words. You got anything to say? Oh, the Blues.
Join Speedbump.
See you later. See you later, everybody. I'm gonna get those things mailed too. Have a good one.